hear some of the similar themes. I think these themes of more choice, more competition, open access, you're going to find it all in Poland. I'm going to tell you about Poland this morning. So I represent Iliad Group. We, just to give you some background, we rank as the 5th largest operator in Europe. We have 3 major operations: Free in France, Iliad, the Iliad brand in Italy, and in Poland, the business I run, Play. We also have other investments in Sweden, Tele2 in the Baltics, Air in Ireland, Tigo internationally. Now, we're a business that's a challenger. In all of our markets, we've taken on and disrupted the market to a great degree. In Poland, where I work, we've gone from the 4th operator to become the #1 mobile operator. In France, we disrupted that market, and in Italy, we're disrupting that market today. So we're a business that brings a different perspective and that challenges the status quo. On the fixed broadband side, our strategy really is about securing fixed wholesale access. Open access is absolutely key to our strategy. So in France, that allows us to access 40 million households, in Italy 13 million, and in Poland over 11 million. It limits overbuild, it ensures efficient deployment of infrastructure, it gives us scale, it leverages our national footprint, it leverages our brands, it leverages our store network, it leverages our competencies. It just makes a whole lot of sense. And in Poland, we probably have one of the best examples in Europe of competitive infrastructure. Poland's infrastructure market is, I think in the UK we used to say that this was the Wild West, but Poland's on a different scale. We have over 1,500 different small ISPs alongside some major providers that allow both open access and exclusive access to their networks. This is a market that is fragmented, that is overlapping, it's built out rapidly, it's competitive, it's complex, customers have choice, but it's confusing and it's hard. And as a retail provider, you have to navigate multiple open access players. It requires extreme operational discipline. It requires really attention to that operational detail that allows for that choice for consumers, but at the end of the day, for an operator, it doesn't make it easier. So we have a few major players in the market. You're going to hear throughout this conference from some of them. Our own business, so we bought UPC's assets. We carved out those assets. We created a subsidiary called PSHO. PSHO has 5.2 million homes passed and is now the largest open access player in the market. We compete against Orange, the incumbent player in the market, who has 3.9 million, and then through a separate subsidiary they have with an infrastructure player, 2.1 million, or sorry, another 3.2 million homes passed. And then the tail starts to get really long, Vectra, Fibre host, and others. So, and we continue to develop these networks. We're building out about 500,000 brownfields this year on our networks, and about 170,000 greenfields. So we're starting to achieve those large objectives. But we all have relationships with each other, and we all compete on one dimension, and we partner on other dimensions. So as a leader in wireless and a retailer in fixed, we're faced with certain complexities. Now, I don't have to tell those of you in the room who are working on the internet side or the ISP side, but FBB margins in an open access environment are extremely narrow, and this is just to give you an illustration. But fixed is not designed to be standalone in our open access markets. But that's not the whole story. The story is in the value of a convergent offering. So convergence matters, and it matters in all of our markets. So in Poland, we see double the ARPA. We see a 20% lower churn rate. We have just so many more opportunities to engage with the customer and bring the customer on board in a more vibrant ecosystem through the open access model. So it allows us to leverage our lead in mobile and to have that national advantage. But you know what? The challenges are real, and it's quite complex and quite hard. I think there's probably 3 main lessons that we have, or 3 main things to highlight. One, if you build fiber, and we're coming from this legacy HFC network, if you build fiber, they don't necessarily come, those customers. Two, economics on retail is hard. And three, competition is intense. So what do we worry about? What keeps us awake? Well, one, this competitive complexity, this connectivity complexity. The quality of service in the homes is table stakes. That home Wi-Fi signal strength, having a comprehensive end-to-end process from the time you provision a customer to billing to servicing the customer is absolutely key. And then convincing the customer. So that HFC customer who's had that TV experience for 20 years, and you try to convince them to come on over to fiber and change their TV experience and rewire their home. Well, it's not an easy sell. And in addition to that, managing up to, in our networks, over 20 different devices. So you can manage the customer service complexities there. On the economic side, indexation and price squeeze, of course, force us to become much more efficient as we go on. And as a distributor of content as well, that puts additional pressure on our margins. And finally, the competitive intensity. I mean, it's obvious in a market like ourselves, there's 4 major players. There's Orange, T-Mobile, Polkomtel, and ourselves Play. You have to find other ways to differentiate because the connectivity is effectively a commodity. So you look at other ways to make a difference. It requires a clear strategy. It requires consistent execution. So just to leave you with a few key lessons learned. One, quality and experience are a must-have. There's no room for compromise there, and we've seen it time and time again. When you have a poor element of any point in the customer experience, the customer can leave you or not get activated. Number 2, scale is key. So we're not going to end up with 1,500 different infrastructure providers in Poland. There's consolidation happening at an accelerated pace, and it's going to continue to happen. There's going to be 2 or 1 or 3 different infrastructure players in place. But to have that scale is absolutely key for dealing with suppliers, for leveraging your brand, both on a retail and a wholesale basis. And you have to differentiate in service. So again, you need to enhance that experience as you go along the way. And finally, at least from where we're sitting, convergence matters. At the end of the day, that fixed margin is so narrow. Unless you're able to bring more value to the ecosystem by bundling it with mobile, by bundling it with content and potentially other services, then the economics are a challenge. Therein lies the twist. That's the opportunity. The opportunity is to use the access to the home as a leverage point to build up more value. And we see that as a very successful approach, both in Poland and in our other markets. Thanks very much.